right, everybody, welcome back to what is this? Episode 8. Welcome back to Boulder Uphill, first and foremost. This is episode 8. I'm your host, Brian Whitehill. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to. If you're returning, welcome back. Episode 8, let's do it. I don't have much, well, you know what? That's a lie. I'm not going to say I don't have much to talk about today. Nothing personal to talk about, I guess. I came into this, I almost didn't record an episode this week, but I was like, you know what? Regardless of how short or long it is, let's put something out. See if you guys enjoy it. See if you're along for the ride. If you're following on Instagram and all that, that's at Boulder Uphill Pod. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Play. We're on Stitcher. We're on a few other ones that do people use, like, what is it? I don't know. Podbean? I don't know. We're on all the things. If you've been following along, thank you. I'm still learning what this show's even going to be about. It's going to ebb and flow. And if anything, this episode right here is going to be a perfect example of us just finding the voice of this thing. Because you know what? We interview artists. We chat with artists. But then also, I'm going to have some of my personal life on here every now and then. And also with the dark cloud and sometimes light cloud of national events and political things going on, there's going to be some of that in here. Do I want this podcast to be a political commentary podcast? No, I don't. You want to know why I don't? Because I don't know enough to factually comment on policies and all the things that would be fact-checked. So I don't even want to dive into that world. What I can comment on are things that I find funny, things that I find annoying, and inspiring things. And I think it's safe to say that most of the things you see online and most of the conversations you see online are very annoying, because with the introduction of the internet in the 90s, fact check me, it gave so many people voices. Who talked about this? Sebastian Maniscalco. Maniscalco. Great guy. Don't know him personally, but he seems like a great guy. And he talked about this in one of his specials, and he was, what did he say? He was like, of course, in his voice, he does this, like, he's super Italian. And I was just on the phone with my friend who is a quarter Italian, and she asked me if I'm Italian because I tan as easily, and I said, no, I'm not Italian. I wish I was. I get asked all the time if I'm Greek or if I'm Italian. I'm not. I wish that I had that interesting mix in there. But you know what? I need to do an ancestry test because I tan very easily, and my dad has very dark features, and anyone who's ever seen a photo of my dad has said, are you sure he's not Italian or he's not Hispanic or there's not something in there? And I say, I'm pretty sure. I need to look it up. I think something might be hiding in there. Anyway, Sebastian Maniscalco, he says, in his voice, he was like, you know, those people. No, my God. I can't imitate him. Why did I even try that? All I know is he says the word baby because he goes, there's people out there that like to dress like a baby. They like to dress like a baby. Have you seen his art? And the way he says, aren't you embarrassed? He has a special, okay, me imitating him, I can't do his bits, but I can try to replicate his voice. But he's got a special called Aren't You Embarrassed? And maybe the internet bit is on there, but he goes, aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed? And he calls Chipotle, he calls it Chipotle. I went to Chipotle the other day. You get the chicken, you get the beef, you get the... Anyway, he says there used to be communities of people that were into weird things, but we never had to hear from them. There were people that liked to dress like babies. That was their fetish on the weekends. And if they ever left their house, the neighbors would be like, all right, someone call the cops. What's that guy doing? He's dressed like a baby. But then the internet happened, and all these people find each other, and they go to conventions for people that like to dress like babies. Now, that's what Sebastian Maniscalco says. Are there conventions for people who like to dress like babies? I don't know. There could be. But my point is, with the introduction of the internet, there are so many voices and so many opinions from people who just should not be spewing their opinions out there. Now, the same could be said for this podcast, because there's what, 1 million active podcasts in the world right now? Does everyone need a podcast? No, definitely not. It could be argued that I shouldn't have a podcast. That argument does exist. Do I agree with it? No. I think that this podcast, I can't argue that this podcast is necessary, but I can say that I like talking and to whoever wants to listen. Anyway, so with the online communities, I can say 7 times out of 10, those political comments you see on Facebook are not worth responding to, because you're not going to change anybody's opinions online. And that's just a fact. And it's kind of like what I talked about with Rachel last episode. We all need to learn to listen more and to have flexible opinions, be willing to learn, and be accepting of other people's views, or at least respect the fact that we're allowed to have different views. We don't necessarily have to respect someone else's view if it's just so wildly outlandish. And Andre sent me this video today, and I have to share it. I guess I'm late to the ball game because it's from sometime in June. And it's these people in Ventura County at a city council meeting arguing why they shouldn't have to wear masks. And one of the guys compared mask mandates to slavery. And if you can't see how absurd that is, then I can't help you. And I don't know if you can be helped. And that's what I mean. If someone has that view, sure, we can respect that we're all entitled to our opinions. But my respect for you as a person, if you're unwilling to change that point of view, goes out the window. My point being, online opinions right now, man, there's something else. So this is going to be maybe a shorter episode, because in daily life pre-COVID, there were things going on in my life that I felt like that were happening on a weekly basis that would trigger thought patterns in me that I wanted to share with other people, and little bouts of inspiration. And I had that one episode about what was it about? Benign envy versus malicious envy, which I thought was so interesting. It didn't get as many listeners as my episodes with guests get. And that's unfortunate, because I did actually put a fair amount of research into that one, and not many people listened to it, and it was really useful for me. So I guess that's what matters. What I was considering doing, and maybe this will be on a separate episode, was looking into some things that Rachel and I talked about last episode in terms of selling yourself as an artist, or being confident enough in what you have to bring to the table as an artist, as a creator, as literally any industry that you are in. If you feel like you have something to offer, you need to be confident in that. And not enough people are. We all have insecurities, and the people who learn to either build that confidence or honestly just fake it, whether it's in a job interview, whether it's a presentation, whether it's trying to get funding for your next project, whatever, in your own. It's like with Jared getting funding for his short film Andromeda. I know that he was a little uncomfortable filming a video to get funding for it. I remember just talking to him, and he was just saying how it wasn't the most fun thing, because he had to film this whole ad for Seed and Spark, which was that funding website, and tell everybody hey, we're doing this project, blah, blah, blah. And self-promotion is never fun. And there's, what's it called? Imposter syndrome is very common, and I've heard plenty of people talk about it in interviews, whether they're artists or not, whether they're in the business world, wherever they are. Imposter syndrome is a big thing. So I think I'm gonna have to touch on that on another episode, but I want to give it the research. I want to give it the research it deserves by looking into what causes imposter syndrome and how to overcome it and how to build up your confidence in self-promotion for your work. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. So I want to look into that, and I was considering touching on it in this episode, but it's just not going to happen because I haven't done the research, and I want it to be factual and helpful and insightful. Again, even though the Envy episode didn't have as many people listening as I wanted, I think the people that did listen, actually, you know what? I can speak to that. The people who did listen to that episode enjoyed it. They talked to me about it, and they said, "Wow, that was my favorite episode so far." And blah blah blah. I didn't know anything about malicious envy. I don't even see you listening right now. You might not even know what malicious envy is. I'm not going to tell you right now because I am encouraging you to go listen to that episode. Malicious envy, benign envy, which one helps you, which one hurts you, which one pushes you forward, which one holds you back, self-comparison. I encourage you to go listen to that. But, you know, I think this episode is just going to be some rapid fire, trending topics. In the tagline for this show, I include trending topics, and I occasionally talk about them, but I guess this is the episode where we do. And again, I don't ever want this to be a political commentary podcast by any means, but sometimes you just have to laugh at the absurdity that are some people in this country. And Andre literally called America a comedy show yesterday. And I wouldn't say all of America is a comedy show, but there's a large portion of America that is a parody of itself. And I kind of want to play that right now, but you know what? Let's just play it because it was this. Let me see where I can find it. It's like I said, oh my God, Ventura County. Here we go.
Thank you. My name is Bruce Boyer. I'm candidate for sheriff. The origins of June 19th are, of course, the end of slavery in America. Slavery was ended. We fought a civil war to end slavery. Yet here we are today being faced with imposed slavery. These rules that you are imposing are slavery on the people. It is not slavery based on race. It is slavery based on those who are in power imposing it upon us. Now, right now, today in America, many states have never imposed a lockdown.
All right, that's enough of that. Hey, that's crazy. Oh my God. And then the best part about this is this theatrical woman. I don't know her name, but she would be great on stage. I have to give her that. Her diction and her dramaticism, if that's a word, it's unparalleled. But you can tell. I feel bad for these city council leaders. They have to sit here and listen to people like this. If you're gonna make an argument against wearing masks, if you're going to go to a city council meeting and make an argument against masks, do a better job, because that guy compared masks to slavery. Obviously outlandish. Again, if you don't see the problem there, then I don't know if anyone can help you. And then there's this woman right here.
On May 5th, the county doctor wrote that there's no incontrovertible, compelling, or even a preponderance of...
Wait, what did she say? Wait.
Wrote that there's no incontrovertible...
There's no incontrovertible... Introverted...
Last night, the Ventura City Council voted 4-3 to mandate masks. Are you going to be wearing masks when you come in? Are you going to obey that city? And if not, then how in the world are you expecting any of us to obey anything that you say?
I love it. Oh my God. Are you going to be wearing masks when you go walk in? If not... Oh, and it keeps going.
I protest face coverings. I am a healthy American. I used to be free. I am not a terrorist. I am am not Antifa. I am not a sex slave that wears masks. I am not into sadomasochism and bondage.
This guy, the city council, whoever he is, he's having to sit there and watch this lady. He's like, what?
Am not
Oh,
a burglar.
wow.
I am not a pandering politician like we see here.
These people are
and
so
here,
dumb. They're so dumb.
And here, and here.
Oh, wow. That is something else, guys. That is something else. I am not a sex slave. I am not Antifa. I am not a sadomasochist. Are you going to wear a mask? Ha 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 ha. And then apparently she came back like a week later. I'm not going to play that. We're done with that nonsense. Apparently she came back a week later and was like, I have been made viral. People have watched my video. And she doesn't even have, what is she doing? That's not even, I'm putting that accent on her. She's speaking like Shakespearean. This is insanity. Good God. Again, if you're going to come in with an argument against masks, make it a good one. Because the first guy, talking about slavery. Second lady, talking about sex slaves. Huh? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get the sex slaves part? God. What a life. I'm going to sit up here. What a life. You know, so like I said, I'm not this show, I think that there's going to have to be a blend because there's things that pop up like this online in my life and in many of people's lives that are just so absurd that you just have to touch on it, even if it's just briefly. That's the last I'm going to spend on. Oh, by the way, that first guy, he starts his thing by saying, hi, blah, 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 candidate for sheriff. Oh, okay. Candidate for sheriff. Yes. That is who we want as a sheriff in whatever county that is. If he is trying to be a sheriff in Ventura County, good luck. That's California, baby. Which just goes to show every state's got a wonderful mix of people. Now I realize I said the word wonderful, and that was a mistake because I wouldn't call these people wonderful. They're wonderfully entertaining in a morbid way. And that's all we're going to touch on with those folks. There was one other thing which was just so ridiculous. And actually, this ties back in to what I was talking about with with what I was talking about with online opinions right now. There's a lot of hypocrites out there, my friends. And that's one thing that really annoys me as a person is hypocrisy. When someone, hypocrisy or double standards, whatever. And I've been guilty of it in the past, and I try to avoid that, and I try to learn anytime I am an offender of that. The people in Martinez, California, I don't know if you guys saw this. It was the couple who were painting over there's a big street in yellow letters. The city commissioned it as a public mural. It was commissioned, it was legal, and they did a whole mural that just said Black Lives Matter across the street. Now, there was a couple who decided to paint over it. And also she was painting, she took this idiot lady, she took a big pole with the paint roller on the bottom of it, and she starts painting over with black paint. She was painting over each letter, which I don't know if it went through her brain, but she was literally staying within the lines of the yellow writing, meaning that if her whole thing went according to plan, she would have directly painted over those yellow words with black paint, and it would have still said the same words. Also, she brought half a bucket of paint. So that was not nearly enough. It was a whole block. The whole block had the words on the street. I got it. I'm not a scientist, but I do want to just say I'm fairly certain that half a bucket of black paint is not enough to cover a city block. Again, fact check me if I'm wrong. Anyway, the hypocrisy in there, the couple start screaming their political views, and the guy goes, well, learn your history. The Emancipation Proclamation, blah, 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 ended slavery. So learn your history. And then people start rebutting. And he goes, and another thing, the whole police brutality thing's a leftist myth. You just don't resist arrest and everything will be fine. That's a leftist myth. And he starts talking about how all of the things that people are upset about with the police is purely based on people resisting arrest. He says, don't resist arrest, you'll be fine. And then later, the same crowd that's filming them and screaming things back at them, in this instance, rightfully so, they say, hey, guys, this is commissioned by the city. There was a permit for this mural. Where's your permit? And the lady goes, screw them. So the hypocrisy there is that you're now breaking the law. And you're now vandalizing. Now, if a cop car were to roll up and put you guys in a headlock and throw you to the ground, or worse, I think you would agree that the police brutality there would not be acceptable. Just my opinion. So, rethink your logic. Using your logic, if you're breaking the law and a cop were to come up and start beating you for doing what you're doing, you'd probably have a problem with it. You'd be like, oh, damn, okay, that's too far. And knowing you guys, the way that you operate in the world with your logic, apologies for the interruption there. I thought that I could use my other camera to record. But again, the same issues that we had at the very top of the podcast episodes, way back episode 1 and 2. My normal camera overheats, and I thought maybe this time would be different, but it wasn't. So here we are now. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So the number one, overheating, as we do in my apartment. Number two, the logic there of this couple painting over that mural, and the guy saying, "Oh, well, don't break the law, and then don't resist arrest, and blah blah." Guys, you're now the ones breaking the law, and then when people call you out on it, you are disregarding the fact that you're breaking the law. So the double standards there in too many parts of society is annoying, and I don't know if there's any changing it. I really don't. And that's unfortunate. So hopefully with the upcoming generations, they're more willing to listen. Another example, I won't spend too long talking about this, but this was annoying because this last weekend was the 4th of July. And obviously right now in America, celebrating the country is a mixed issue. Now, I was having a conversation with someone about how 4th of July, Independence Day, they consider it a separate issue or a separate holiday. Essentially, they were saying, I am not celebrating everything that America is, but I suppose I will celebrate the idea of this country breaking away from a totalitarian power like we did. So there's a large argument on there, and I don't think anyone, that's not true. There were some people, but majority of people I know, no one was running around screaming, America's best, woo! Like no one was doing that. But people were still enjoying the fireworks. And God knows Los Angeles enjoyed the fireworks. I wasn't here. I was in Orange County. Sunday's horrible air quality can attest to the fact that Los Angeles sure as hell enjoyed their fireworks because Sunday morning, according to the charts, Los Angeles had the literal worst air quality in the entire world. Yay! Congrats, LA, you did it. I will say the video was cool. There was a sweeping helicopter shot of Los Angeles and just everywhere, and it looked really cool. But then you see the cloud and horrible, hazardous air quality that was shown by the weather apps, by everything, and by the something quality index, maybe AQI, air quality index, something like that. It was off the charts, so not good. Point is, people were obviously going nuts with fireworks. People met up with their families or celebrated in some way with the people that they had been quarantining with, or in small groups. And I know a lot of people who used the 4th to celebrate who they have surrounded themselves with, the opportunities they've been given, the people that they love. And I think that there are a lot of reasons to celebrate, but none of that means we are living in a perfect country. And I saw someone's post that made me so annoyed, and it was very hypocritical. I will lightly touch on this, or at least be as general as possible. Now, this was someone who, during the red hot epicenter of the Black Lives Matter movement, they were not posting much about it, and I guess they had gotten called out by somebody. Someone was like, "Hey, you're like, stop posting trivial stuff during all this." And I touched on that a little bit with Rachel last episode about how you would see people's priorities are varied. And just because you're not posting everything online, all of your beliefs and your actions and the petitions you're signing and the things you're donating to, just because you're not posting all of that online does not mean you're not doing anything. And that is a fact. There are people, and there have been celebrities who have been called out, who people were like, "I don't see you doing anything about it." And then they were like, "Okay, guys, well, now that you're calling me out, here's a list of all the things I've been doing. And just because I'm not posting online doesn't mean I'm not doing anything, or doesn't mean I don't care. Because guess what? Not everyone is plastered to their phone all the time. Am I? Yes. Am I happy about that? No. And do I need to fix that? Yes. But not everybody's plastered to their phones. So we got to cut people breaks, because we have no idea, again, and this goes to touch on highlight reels on Instagram and everybody living these perfect lives. We don't know what's happening under the surface, so we actually can't paint a full picture of anybody by what we see online. When we see people traveling to Bali, we don't know who they're being funded by. When we see people, these travel influencers and whoever in everybody's lives who seem so perfect, we don't know that. So do not judge people by what you see online. Simple as that. So I guess this person had been judged in that way. Unfair, because I know that this person cares about those social causes and social injustices. Someone, I guess, called her out online and was like, "You're not posting enough." And so she made a post saying something like, "I'm tired of people assuming that just because I'm not posting means I don't care, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this, so let's not shame others because we don't know where they stand." The general synopsis of what she posted was that. And I agreed. And I was like, good for you. Now the hypocritical part comes from the 4th of July, because this same person posted, and I saw it and I was like, how are you posting this when you just said 2 weeks ago that people shouldn't be shaming other people online? She said something like, "If I see you wearing..." Oh, it was such a ridiculous statement. It was like, "If I see you wearing red, white, and blue and celebrating in any way today, just know I'm judging you." And these are literal words, word by word. "I'm judging you. I'm looking down on you. And I'm questioning where you stand on the side of inequality." Now, friends, and other viewers and listeners, we're all friends here. Does that sound like a general sweeping statement that is not a good thing to say? I'll answer that. Yes, it does. Because, again, throwing it back to that previous statement, we don't know what people are doing outside of their online lives. A lot of families in America, it's a holiday where they're able to see each other because, oh, well, yeah, of course I'm going to come see you for a holiday or whatever, depending on everybody's sensitivity levels right now. It's a holiday, a widely accepted holiday. And should there be other widely accepted holidays that are significant points in our history? Of course. That haven't been recognized? Of course. But I'm not going to go online and see someone holding an American flag or wearing red, white, and blue and cooking a hot dog with their dad and be like, I'm judging you. I'm looking down on you. And I don't know exactly where you stand on the side of inequality. Because who am I to say that? Who is anybody to say that? You have no idea. So I need to close that. And that is just a perfect example. Now, if I was someone over the age of 40 on Facebook and I'd seen that, maybe I would have started a discussion, an unnecessary discussion on it. And reached out and be like, hey, I don't know about this. I think that you probably shouldn't be generalizing. Now, I didn't do that because that conversation is not one worth having. On top of not judging, especially people that are probably have the same views as you. So that's where I stand on that. I'm just like, people attack those even on their side. And it just gets so exhausting to watch because not only do you have two separate political parties attacking each other at all times in the media, online, Facebook, Instagram. Do people attack each other on TikTok? I don't know. I'm not on TikTok. So not only do you see two political sides attacking each other, then you also see people attacking their own side without even knowing it. It's just so exhausting. And that's why I don't like to talk about this stuff too much, but also it was just on my brain today because I was like, man, people are just something else these days. There's an analogy from, and it's not mine, but it's very accurate. And this person describes the political spectrum as a circle. So essentially saying the further right, or let's do opposite. The further right you are, an extremist you are on one side, and the further left you are, you both meet at the same point of idiocy. So when you are that radical on the right side, where you are the man in the city council meeting going, masks are slavery. What? So that's super far right, obviously. Ridiculous. And then you get the people on the left, super far left, being like, how dare you give it? Don't ever. If I ever catch you grilling hamburgers on 4th of July, I don't know where you stand. I don't know who you are. I don't even know what you're like. That is on the extreme far left. And guess what? Congrats. You both met at the same point of idiocy. Now, obviously, wildly different morals, but both outlandish. So the sweet spot is right here, or I guess maybe there's a giving point, but just don't be at the far side of either. How about that? Moderation is key, everybody. And that is where we will leave that conversation. I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh. Actually, you know what else? The last thing I'm going to touch on today, because it was something that came out on Disney Plus. I don't know how many of you watched Hamilton this weekend, but it's on Disney Plus. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. And if you don't have Disney Plus, go borrow someone's Disney Plus. And if you can't borrow someone's Disney Plus, go do a free trial of Disney Plus. And if you can't do any of the above, I don't know. I don't know how to help you there. But go watch Hamilton, because I watched it this last weekend, and I'd already seen it because a friend of mine from school who was in my class has been in it now for 4 years, something like 4 years. And I saw him in it. He plays Philip, the role of Philip / Lawrence, and you'll understand if you. Essentially, he plays one person in the first act, and then he plays Alexander Hamilton's son in the second act. I saw him when he was in it on tour in 2017 at the Pantages in Los Angeles, and they're actually his touring company, and he's a badass, and he's since done it on the Jimmy Fallon show. His name's Ruben Carbajal. He's done on the Jimmy Fallon show. He went to Puerto Rico to do it. He's bounced all around. They love him there, and he does a great job. And so I saw him in it 3 years ago, and it was a great show. And I specifically chose not to listen to any of the music, and I know that's blasphemy. I chose not to listen to any of the music while I was living in New York until I saw the show. I wanted context, and I wanted to see it in context, because everywhere you looked in New York in 2015/2016, maybe, and obviously the years after that, but primarily that hot spot when Hamilton had just won all the Tonys and pre-winning all those Tonys, and after, everyone, you would be on the subway and everybody's phone would say they were listening to Hamilton on Spotify. And I chose not to, because I was like, I don't want to ruin, and it wouldn't have ruined it, but I wanted to keep all the music a surprise until I saw the show. And I had no idea when I was going to see the show. And this was before Ruben booked it, I think. Anyway, so I was on tour for almost a year. I didn't listen to it at all of tour, even though I had friends in it. I mean, friends on tour with me who were listening to it nonstop. And my friend Marcus from tour is now in it as well. And he was listening to it nonstop / auditioning for it. I was surrounded by the music, and I was like, I just want to see it in context. But it was so hard to get tickets in New York, anywhere really. They were crazy expensive, which that's a whole other deal, because tickets should never be that expensive. But people were buying up the tickets and then reselling them at crazy prices. So pretty much only rich people were able to go see that show. Crappy. Anyway, long story short, I finally saw it in 2017 when it came to the Pantages, and it was wonderful. Now, there were people who were like, oh, you should listen to all the music so you can get all the words, and then you can go into the show with some more context. I still didn't want to do it. Were they right? Probably, but I still liked hearing all the music for the first time in a live setting. I think that so many things hit me in ways that I didn't know was going to hit me. And the cool thing about this show, well, there's a million cool things about the show. One of the cool things is that it heavily popularized musical theater for people who would never be into musical theater, because there's so many styles of music in Hamilton that it's hard not to find something to appreciate in there. So what was I saying? So I saw it in 2017. It was brilliant, and I loved it, and I listened to the music for a short while after that, and then I kind of got out of it again. And I'm so glad that they released like a really well done professional recording of it on Disney Plus, because now it can reach a larger audience, which most musicals and stage productions cannot reach. Like audiences don't really ever get to, occasionally they do, but rarely do they get to see a well produced video recording of a stage production. So they nailed it, and Disney Plus did it right. They got the people to come see it. In Orange County, it was cool. I would drive by, and people like had a screen on their garage, and they were video projecting it onto their garage. It was like on the 4th, everyone was watching it. It was great. So I highly encourage you to go watch that, because and I don't know all the ins and outs, and I can only imagine how much more the cast members know about the inspirations and the history in there. But it's crazy how much U.S. history Lin-Manuel Miranda fits into that show, and somehow fits it all into lyrics, and like essentially breaks down big points in the founding fathers' history, and makes it easier to understand / sing along to. Well, not really, because there's so many words. I don't know if I could ever remember any of them. / dance to. It's just like, it's wonderful. So I highly recommend that. The music's great. It's funny. It's sad. I shed tears many times in that show watching it, and I did when I saw Ruben in it. If you're going to celebrate anything on the 4th of July, why am I bringing it back to the 4th of July? I don't know. The lyric that comes up in my brain from Hamilton, I think, I'm probably wrong. Apologies to all the Hamilton fans of the world / cast members. I think he says, he calls America a beautiful, unfinished symphony. God, I hope I'm right with that. If you're going to celebrate anything, celebrate a work in progress. Yeah. And that's it. We're going to stop there. So, we got some exciting guests coming up. I'm trying to vary the industries that they come from and that they're pursuing. So we got some musicians coming up. We got a director of photography coming up. We got a graphic designer coming up at some point. I got to get in contact with her and schedule. And there's some cool people coming up, and I'm excited to get all that rolling. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast yet, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, go to all the things that I mentioned, Google Play, yada, 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 yada. Go follow on Instagram if you want. I post video clips from the YouTube channel. And again, you can go on YouTube and see the full video episodes of these. Do many people watch these? Definitely not. They're more of an accessory to the audio. But the exciting thing is that if you're watching this right now, you can see my cool Mamma Mia tank top, and you can see this cool little palm tree in the background right there that's light up in neon. And you can see how much I'm overheating and that I desperately need to go drink some water. So you can go to the YouTube channel, Brian Whitehill. I have a whole playlist there. And that is all the talking I'm going to do. If you stuck it out this long, thank you so much. This has been episode 8. I will see you guys next episode of Boulder Uphill. I'm Brian Whitehill. Stay bold and keep climbing.